So quite a few of you guys have been asking for this video since we posted the 10 things you didn't know about Tsunade, and this particular topic has been on my mind for some time now and I'm pretty excited to delve into it. But before I do, I want to really remind you guys and enforce the idea that this video is a theory, obviously based on relevant information and sources from the series, but again, just a theory. Another quick reminder is for our partners and sponsors Anime Ryo. They have updated the collection with more choices on their hoodies, shirts and accessories, and with the discount code ABD Squad you guys can get yourself a 10% discount on everything. The link will be in the description and comment section below, so make sure to check that out. With that, let's just get right into it. So, the theory goes like this: Tsunade and Dan are the parents of Minato Namikaze and the grandparents of Naruto, obviously making them the great-grandparents of Boruto and Himawari. But before I explain how this came to be, I'm going to have to break down Tsunade's genealogy. So far, what is revealed to us is that Tsunade is the last surviving member of the Senju clan, where Tsunade is the grandchild of the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and his wife Mito Uzumaki, which also makes Tsunade part Uzumaki. However, as mentioned in the fact video we did on Tsunade, it is not revealed on who was Tsunade's parents and if Hashirama and Mito were from her mom's side or dad's side. So from here on, we will have to add in our own deduction and speculation. Given the fact that Tsunade doesn't include her surname, family name, clan name when she is mentioned, gives us a reason to suggest that Hashirama and Mito Uzumaki gave birth to a daughter and she married a man from another clan. Hence why she doesn't officially go by the name Tsunade Senju and is only referred to as a descendant of the Senju clan. Now this conclusion isn't the end all, but there is a high chance of this being the case. Now logically, to deduce which clan Tsunade's father is from, we have to look at her attributes and features. The most distinctive feature would be her blonde hair. This hair color most definitely did not come from the Senju and Uzumaki side. The only other prominent clans in Konoha with blonde hair would be the Namikaze clan and possibly the Yamanaka clan. The reason I say possibly is because not all members from the Yamanaka clan is shown to have blonde hair. Apart from Ino's family, other members such as Fu and Santa does not have blonde hair. Also, Tsunade has light hazel brown eyes, where none from the Yamanaka clan possess this, and this eye color has to be from her father's side as both her grandparents have rather dark eye color. Now, apart from Minato, there is no other Namikaze we can compare Tsunade's features to, and although there might be other clans with these features, but due to them being less prominent and given the status of the Senju clan, with the process of elimination, it's safe to say that Tsunade's father is from the Namikaze clan. But apart from the basis of the blonde hair color and other facial features, there is also the fact that Tsunade saw her little brother Nawaki in Naruto, and they are quite similar. This could be due to both of them being blood related. Come on now, even Dan thought Naruto and Nawaki's resemblance was uncanny. Now with the possibility of Tsunade being a Namikaze, let's go to her relationship with Dan Kato, who according to this theory is the father of Minato. Now some of you guys are probably thinking, no way, that's not possible, you don't know what you're talking about, Anime Balls Deep. Well, just hear me out. Tsunade and Dan met each other during the conflicts of the Second Shinobi World War. This was right after Tsunade had lost her brother Nawaki. Dan, who had also lost his younger sister during this war, was able to relate a lot to Tsunade, and they both quickly became lovers. Now before his death, Dan is said to be around the age of 27, and he had a really beautiful lover. Let's be honest now, Tsunade is a catch, and it was wartime, and there was probably more likely no concept of contraception, and even if there were, it's wartime guys, no one has time to think about that shit. So it's not far-fetched to say that Dan got it on with Tsunade. Now guys, if you go back to the Ninja World War series I did, I explained the Second Shinobi World War lasted quite a long time. Technically, even before it was officially called the Shinobi World War, and before the death of Nawaki, the Sanins weren't even a thing. Instead, all three of them led their own platoons. After this, there was a brief moment where Tsunade spent time to grieve for her brother's death, and this was the period where she spent most of the time with Dan. This time frame could have been when Minato was born. After that period, Tsunade was sent off along with the other two Sanins to the Rain Village, where they fought Hanzo. Even after this, Jiraiya spent time looking after the Ame orphans for around 3 years, before going back to Konoha, and right at this time, Dan had also been killed in battle. Tsunade being distraught and going into shock would have been more understandable. After all, she lost her baby daddy. That would pretty much leave anyone with PTSD. Now, Tsunade after some time was said to have left Konoha with Dan's niece. You guys might be thinking, what mother would leave her child as an orphan? Well, maybe she felt as though she was cursed and believed it would have been better for the third Hokage along with her friend Jiraiya to look after Minato. This type of mentality is more than common in Naruto, and it does happen. To further prove the time period and gap from the Second Shinobi World War to Minato's childhood, we have to look at Jiraiya. Initially, Jiraiya believed that Nagato might have been the child of prophecy, but after some time he heard the news that Nagato with the other two had passed away. So his belief and thought had shifted, which later allowed him to consider Minato as the child of prophecy. Now remember guys, this was when Minato was a child, maybe like around 7 to 8 years of age. And from witnessing Minato's talent, Jiraiya took him under his tutelage. Alright, now that I gave you guys this story, let's break down the facts to reinforce the idea of Tsunade and Dan being Minato's parents. Let's start with appearance. Both Tsunade and Minato shared the same blonde hair color. Minato had light blue eyes, which could have come from Dan's side, as he also possessed light colored eyes. And in the terms of height and weight, Minato is near identical to Dan's when he was around the same age. And if you put Minato and Dan side by side, you can see some similarities. With that, let's go into genetics and other similarities. Both Tsunade and Minato have the exact same blood type, which is B. Both Minato and Dan also graduated around the same age from the academy, which was around the age of 10, showing similar aptitude. And when we go into chakra nature types and affinity, which if I have to remind you guys is hereditary, it becomes much clearer. Minato is the child of Tsunade and Dan. Don't believe me? Then check this out. Tsunade has the nature type of fire release, lightning release, yin release in the anime, yang release, earth release, and water release. Dan has the nature type of fire release, wind release, earth release, yin release, and yang release. Minato has the nature type of fire release, yin release, and yang release, which he inherited from both Tsunade and Dan. His lightning release is solely from Tsunade and his wind release from Dan. And guess what guys, Minato does not have any extra nature affinity that neither Tsunade or Dan does not have, meaning that his nature affinity is in the same spectrum as Dan and Tsunade together, which once again gives a plausibility for this theory. Now let's jump into the narrative to strengthen this theory. The first point being that within the series, Uchiha Madara implies the Hokage line had been kept within the Senju clan for years. As he states this, the 4th Hokage was already appointed and his face was imprinted on the Hokage mountain. Either Madara is implying that both the 3rd and the 4th has Senju blood in them, or he just addressing the 1st and 2nd. But if that was the case, Madara would not have made a big deal out of it. Like, if it's just for 2 generations, Madara wouldn't state that the Hokage line is being kept within the Senju clan for years. Like, come on, it's just 2 Kages, right? Well, I don't know. Maybe Madara wasn't being paranoid, but made an actual prediction, a prophecy. Madara knew that Minato was the great-grandson of the 1st Hokage. Even the 3rd Hokage's mother is not revealed, so he could also possibly be a Senju, according to Madara's statement. And we also have another theory that Kakashi is the descendant of the 2nd Hokage, which would also make him a Senju. In my opinion, this is kind of stretching it, but let me know what you guys think. Did Madara actually prophesize this, that the Hokage line in Konoha will be run by the Senjus? Let me know your thoughts down below. But moving on, there is another point which is heavily pushed by the Naruto community to support this theory of Tsunade being Minato's mother, and that is her last conversation with Jiraiya. If you guys recall, both Jiraiya and Tsunade discussed a lot of things before Jiraiya departed to face off against Pain. But there is a moment where they bring up Naruto and his parents. On page 10 of chapter 367, the moment Minato is mentioned, Tsunade's face drops and looks very sad. But the conversation that happens next is what we need to look at. Jiraiya mentions Minato and goes on to brag about him on what he was like. Jiraiya then says, I never had kids, so I don't know what it was like, but if he'd been my son, I'd brag about him all the time. Now this statement could have been seen that Jiraiya is bragging about Tsunade's son to her, and how he saw Minato as his own son. Now to understand this better, we need to know who Jiraiya really is. He is a man who chased Tsunade for a long time, and unfortunately failed in his love life, but he still always kept on loving Tsunade, even to the point of not accepting anyone else in his life. If Jiraiya succeeded in winning over Tsunade's love, he would have very well be the father of her child. So for him to feel and say that he always thought Minato was his son could have been for this reason. After all, it's not like Jiraiya didn't have any other students. Minato was always something more to him. So to summarize, the theory goes like this. Tsunade and Dan had Minato during the Second World War, however Dan got killed in a latter mission during the war. Either Dan knew about his child or he didn't, we can't be certain. It's possible Dan was killed off before Tsunade even found out she was pregnant, and after Dan's death she found out that she was pregnant with his child, but this caused her to go into further depression, and knowing that she was unfit to look after Minato, she gave him up for adoption and left the village. And Minato was more likely given Tsunade's family name Namikaze as default by the third Hokage. Later Jiraiya trained and took upon Minato for both the reason of his relationship with Tsunade and the reason of Minato's potential to be the prophesied child. Now let's circle back to Naruto. What does this all mean? Well, Tsunade being the grandmother of Naruto would actually be ironic but fit perfectly, as Naruto always joked around with Tsunade calling her granny, old grandma, and so on and so forth. And to the fact that Naruto actually ended up with Hashirama's necklace. Overall, this also plays on to the symbolism of the grudge between Madara and Hashirama, with Sasuke being from the Uchiha land and Naruto being from the Senju. However, all in all, with every theory there is a counter argument. And to this theory, the biggest one I can see is Tsunade's age when compared to Minato. As if we go by the official age, for this theory to work, Tsunade had to give birth to Minato at the age of 14 to 16. And that would also mean she participated in the Second World War during that time. And I'm not too sure how much that holds. And the second counter argument is Minato's blue eyes. This is a recessive gene which neither Tsunade or Dan have. But if you go by the logic of Naruto, I don't think this is that important. Anyway guys, that's the theory in a nutshell. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and if you want me to cover how Kakashi could be related to the second Hokage, then also put that down in the comment section below, and smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and ding that notification bell to stay updated. With that, I'll see you guys till next time.